Howdy friends, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a follow-up to a video I did earlier on how to make a hexagon without a paper form. And in this video, I'm going to share some tips and some tricks, as well as what you can do with these hexes once you have them made. So I'm going to share with you a project that I've been working on and some of the lessons learned and things that I've learned along the way while working on this project. And if you need some more information on how to make the hexagons without paper forms, I'll put a link to my video where I go into a lot more detail about how to do the technique at the end of this one. The first item that I kind of discovered and found just recently is if you spray your circles with just a little bit of starch, it kind of gives them a little bit of stiffness and it makes it just a little bit easier to work with them and kind of fold them into shape. Again, that is a purely personal choice, but I just kind of found that that makes things a little easier. The other item that I want to share with you today is how to start. Now, in my first video, I kind of showed you going down the center and back up, but to be a little bit more efficient, once you find the center of your circle, just go into the center and just grab a few threads. And again, just like I mentioned in my other video, I'm using a matching thread and it is knotted. And that will just save you a lot of time not having to go up and down. Then the next item that I want to share is when you get to the end of the hexie, I wanted mine to be a little bit more finished for my project because I'm going to put this on top of my table down in my kitchen. So it's going to be like a little round table topper. And I wanted the back to be kind of finished because I wasn't going to be doing anything else on the back of it. I just was going to leave it as it is. So I found that when you get to the end, what I was doing was I was just taking that raw edge and just taking it ever so slightly and tucking it under when I went to tie off the hexie. So that raw edge is kind of tucked in there. Kind of tell you more about this project that I'm working on. I'm using K Fawcett and it's the Free Spirit fabric. And they were 5-inch squares that I have. And then I just used a 5-inch coaster to cut my circles out. And one of the things that I learned since I was working on another project at the same time that also involved circles, I think I probably messed up with cutting out my circles and using a slightly smaller size template. So if you're going to kind of be working on this over time and cutting out circles, I would recommend just making sure you labeled your template or put it someplace so that you're consistently using the same template so your hexagons work out to be the same size. Now, the other thing, if you're not really a hand sewer and you would prefer to do this with your machine, I also did do 2 pieces here. Hold it up here and up here with my machine. On my machine, what I did is I took the 2 pieces, I lined up where they were joined with my needle, and I used just a small zigzag stitch on my machine with a stitch width of 1.1 and a stitch length of 1.5. So you would just probably have to experiment a little bit with your stitches on your particular machine. But I found it came out really nice. It is a little bit tricky. It is a little bit finicky. It doesn't, you do kind of have to kind of make sure that the machine is just catching the edge of each of the hexagons. So it does require a little bit of patience. And then if they're not quite perfect, you know, there's not much chance for you to be doing a lot of manipulation when you're taking them through your machine with. Now, some other ideas that you could do is, if you have scrap fabric, you kind of come up with like a designated size, a circle size. You could simply just cut circles out of your scraps and stack them up and put them wherever you do your handwork, and then you could just slowly over time make a bunch of hexagons, stitch them together, and you could either do like a little table topper like I'm doing here, a table runner. You could even, if you wanted to, turn this into a quilt, and then if you wanted to put batting on the back and then put the backing, then I wouldn't worry about that part where, you know, you would tuck that end under. You could just leave it raw if you were going to put like a layer of batting on the back. The other thing I was thinking about that would be kind of really cool to do is on this, I'm actually kind of thinking that I might do some big stitch quilting on this one. And then the other thing that I thought would be kind of cool based on like your fabric style and everything would be to kind of go in and do a blanket stitch between each of your hexagons. That could be kind of really cool. Now I want to flip this over and I want to show you what it looks like on the back. I thought it got really pretty on the back, and I just love it. But my one point that I would make is, if you are going to tuck those ends over, there is a little bit of bulk at each of those points. I'm not really awfully disturbed by that because of because I'm just putting this on my table. It really doesn't bother me. If you were going to put this into a quilt, or, you know, if you were bothered by that, then, you know, you may not want to actually tuck that end under. If you liked today's video, do click the like and subscribe button. It does help my channel. And if you need some more information on how to make the hexagons without paper forms, I'll put a link to my video where I go into a lot more detail about how to do the technique at the end of this one. But for now, I wish you well, and most of all, be quilty.